Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing well as usual. So I'm back with another video quite soon as promised, but I did lie actually because in the last video I said I was going to do a collection update for the next video, but today is actually an impromptu thread response. I saw Tony from Tainted Lord 87, he recently created an interesting thread and I'm still preparing for my collection update, like I'm reviewing those albums and so on, so I thought this would be a really good interim video to do. So if you're not familiar with Tony, most of you probably know him actually, so Tainted Lord 87, he's from Canada and he has a very eclectic taste in music. On his channel he shows all sorts of music, but there's like all subgenres of metal, even, you know, metalcore, and he also likes some pop music, you know, K-pop. So he's very honest and very diverse in his opinions with and his taste in music. So really interesting channel. So I will leave a link to his channel in the description if you're not familiar with it. And what he's asked us to do just for this video, it's a very simple idea. Just simply show your compilation albums which you own on CD. So yeah, self-explanatory really. I'm not going to talk about the music in too much detail because that will take forever, and also I'll probably look at this later on down the track in my CD collection. Right now I'm up to K, but various artists that comes under V, so this is just a brief overview today, but I'll just give you a quick summary. But anyway, enough rambling. I have 7 CDs to show. I was going to show more, but a lot of the compilations I own are non-metal compilations. Like I have a lot of electronic and psytrance compilations, but I'm assuming most people who watch this channel are not interested in that. However, one day, if and when I get through all of my metal CDs, which is a long way into the future because I'm only up to K, if that happens, I might start showing and talking about my non-metal CDs if people are interested in that, but we still have a long way to go. So anyway, 2 minutes in, and I've just babbled on, so we're gonna get started. So this is my music compilation collection, if you like, on CD. So the first album I'm going to show, this is Blackend Volume 1. So this is a various artists black metal compilation from the early 90s. You can see, I think it was released by Plastic Head, if I'm not mistaken, and you can tell by that old school lettering there. You have the sigil of Baphomet on the front because it's about black metal. And you may have heard me mention this before because I briefly mentioned it. It's like a who's who of early 90s second wave black metal. So this was released, this is the first volume. It was released back in the days when black metal was fresh, back in the early 90s. And so a lot of the band names here and the song names, they're just household names and greatest hits by this stage since black metal's become so established. But I would say it's a very good starter pack for someone who's never heard black metal. Like it will just give you an insight into Norwegian and Swedish 90s black metal, and a really cool compilation. Like yeah, because they're sort of now household names and songs, like this is just a good greatest hits album to throw on, if you like, by various bands. So I'll just show you the inside. It comes on 2 discs, both showing the sigil of Baphomet again. If I can ever get this out. Yeah, so on both sides, yeah, you have the 2 discs there. And hopefully, sorry, the sky's really overcast today, so there's not much light in the room. If I turn the light on in here, it will look like Crystal Palace, so I'm sorry about the light quality, but I'll just read out some of the band names playing on here. So we have, sorry, I just put the light on for a second so I can read these. So you have tracks by Emperor, Impaled Nazarene, Mayhem, Satyricon, Throne of Ahaz, which is a underrated black metal band from Sweden, Marduk, Enslaved, Dark Funeral, Samael, and Fluidity. So you can see that most of these bands are from Norway and Sweden, but some exceptions like Samael from Switzerland, and also, yeah, what else do we have on disc 2? Gorgoroth, Enslaved, Immortal, Lord Belial, more Emperor? Yep. Vedboy Zenda, Dark Funeral, Psy from Japan, Bestial Warlust from Australia, Moonspell from Portugal, I think, and Unanimated from Sweden, and then Havohedge from USA. So like I said, mostly Scandinavian black metal, but some other countries featured as well. So yeah, a lot of those famous songs. I'll just show you the inside. It's got this cool picture of the fjords and landscapes of Scandinavia, all track and band names on the back. And how old school is this? It's a mail order form for these shirts back in the 90s for some black metal shirts. Yeah, so like I said, these days it's like a common household compilation of famous bands and songs, but at the time that this was released, this was very fresh and very underground. So that's Blackend Volume 1, released by Plastic Head. Okay, now the next one I'm going to show, this is on the lighter side, but it's still talking about rock and metal. This is the Dazed and Confused soundtrack. So if you don't know, there was a film which came out in 1994, I think, called Dazed and Confused, and it was a very simple storyline. It's just about a group of people who are they're graduating from high school, so like grade 12, whatever, like this was in 76, 77, and they plan this big party, but the plans go awry and then they have to organize another party, and basically the whole movie is people just celebrating hippiedom and getting wasted, as you can see from the front here. But it is a really good soundtrack, like compiling some really awesome rock, because heavy metal didn't really exist at the time, like just hard rock and psychedelic rock bands. So yeah, good for if you were having like a 70s or retro party, this would be a good album to throw on. So I'll just read out the song titles and band names. So this is what's on this one: Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo by Rick Derringer, Slow Ride by Foghat, I love that song, Take It Easy, School's Out by Alice Cooper, Jim Dandy by Black Oak, Arkansas, Tush by ZZ Top, Love Hurts by Nazareth, Stranglehold by Ted Nugent, Cherry Bomb by the Runaways, Fox on the Run by The Sweet, Lowrider by War, Tuesday's Gone by Lynyrd Skynyrd, Highway Star by Deep Purple, and Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss, and Paranoid by Black Sabbath. So yeah, very popular hard rock and rock names throughout the 70s. So you've got, and they're pretty famous songs featured by those bands as well. Like, as I said before, it's funny, I'm a massive Kiss fan, but the first Kiss song I ever heard, I think, was Rock and Roll All Night, and I wasn't all that impressed by that. But later on, I was corrected with other albums. But yeah, here you have all the credits on the insides for the songs, some characters from the movie, and there's the disc itself. Yeah, so like, basically just a 70s rock greatest hits album, but it's a fun party album, so it might be good for that. And as for the movie, I wouldn't say it's brilliant. Like when it came out, I was a teenager, I was about 15 or something, and I loved it because I thought it was so outrageous and rebellious. But anyway, yes, good compilation. So that's Dazed and Confused, a 70s rock soundtrack. Okay, sorry guys, and I just cut the light there because I finished reading, but I hope you didn't mind the brightness for that. The next compilation that I'm going to show, this is Crusade from the North, released by Moonfog Productions. So Moonfog is a Norwegian record label run by Satyr of Satyricon, and he signed a lot of influential and important Norwegian black metal bands to his label. So this is a compilation. I got it in the late 90s, and it's got all those household Moonfog names. So some of the bands featured here are Darkthrone, Storm, Satyricon, Neptune Towers, Wongraven, Isengard. Yeah, and that's it, just that short list of names, but it's a 2-disc compilation because there are multiple tracks featured by each band. So probably the less known ones are Storm, which is that was a collaborative project between Satyr of Satyricon and Fenris of Darkthrone and Kari Ruslatin from Third and the Mortal, I think. And Neptune Towers was Fenris's dark ambient solo project. I really like that, especially the album Transitions from Empire Algol. Is that what it's called? I think so, yeah. And Wongraven, that was like a solo medieval instrumental project done by Satyr of Satyricon. But yeah, really good stuff. And this compilation, although I was already listening to Darkthrone and Satyricon when I bought this in the 90s, it introduced me to some of their more obscure material and other albums. For example, it introduced me to Darkthrone's Goat Lord with the song Green Cave Float. It introduced me to the band Storm. And Satyricon did some interesting tracks as well, like some from Dark Medieval Times, also a Bathory cover of Born for Burning. So yeah, just some really cool, obscure songs by some of these bands here. So just show you the front there. So once again, it comes on 2 discs. So these like Viking longboats. And the other one's fallen out, but just show you here. And then it's got the Moonfog slogan, Blasphemy Be Thy Name, a promotional flyer for Satyricon's Nemesis Divina. It says coming in March, so this compilation came out mid-90s. And what else do we have? Oh yeah, just some more artwork here and some credits, like showing all the artists and albums which are available. Yeah, so everyone knows Darkthrone are one of my favorite bands, and this compilation features a lot of songs by them, and I really enjoy them all. So yeah, good stuff. Norwegian black metal compilation, Moonfog, Crusade from the North. All right, coming up next, we're also talking about some Norwegian or Scandinavian black metal. The next compilation I'm going to show, this is Nordic Metal, a tribute to Euronymous, which was released by Necropolis Records. So you can see here, there's Ørstin Arseth, or Euronymous on the front there. So everyone knows the story. Yes, he was killed by Varg Vikernes of Burzum. There's a lot of debate as to whether, was it murder, was it self-defense? I think they both had valid points they made in their argument, so I'm not going to take sides. I actually listen to both bands, Mayhem and Burzum, because for me it's about the music, but I'm not going to get partisan and involved in one side. But having said that, because this is a tribute to Euronymous, it's a very pro-Euronymous album, of course, like pro-Mayhem, and very anti-Count Grishnak, or anti-Varg Vikernes. As you can see here, on this disc it says anti-cunt. No wimps, no traitors, no posers, no trends, and picture of Varg there. So yeah, I'm not agreeing with that statement, but obviously it's an anti-Varg slogan, because this compilation is a celebration of Euronymous. But who knows what happened, I'm not in a position to comment. Yeah, so there we have Euronymous on the front, and basically this is just a compilation of really good songs by a bunch of Norwegian and Swedish black metal bands, most of which, I think all of which, were associated with Euronymous and his Death Like Silence Productions label. So you have some well-known songs, but also some obscure songs. So like 15 tracks here, and the bands featured are Abruptum, Mayhem, Dissection, Emperor, Mysticum, Marduk, Thorns, Ophthalmia, Enslaved, Arcturus, and Mortis. Yeah, so again, a couple of bands have multiple tracks, like Dissection and Emperor. I really like the opening track, Die Profundis Mors Vas Consumet by Abruptum. It's absolute sheer oral torture, black metal torture. It's a great song. And so I bought this in '98, and at that time I was already listening to a handful of black metal bands, but I'll be honest with you, at the time, 1998, I had never heard Mayhem. So the first time I heard Mayhem was on this compilation, and the first song I heard by them was The Freezing Moon, the demo with Dead on vocals, which I think is ultimately the best version of that song. So yeah, that was a great introduction to Mayhem, to hear The Freezing Moon at that time. Like, we're talking back in the day, this was 27 years ago. It was fresh then. And yeah, Mayhem also had a song Pagan Fears, but I was introduced to a few new bands on this compilation, like Mysticum. I'd never heard them, and I really liked them, as well as Thorns, Eerie Descends, such a great cold, eerie track. Yeah, and they also, yeah, so they have Mortis, there's some dark ambient, but very cool compilation. And in addition to that, they have, you know, the story behind what happened, and, you know, statements written by people, including it. Like I said, it's very sort of picture of Dead and Euronymous there. It's very pro-Euronymous, but understandably. Yeah, and then they have a little bio on each band featured, so that's very cool. And again, I sort of got this at a time when this music was still quite fresh, at least to me, you know, in the like late 90s. But again, a lot of these songs now would be considered, you know, household names, like The Freezing Moon by Mayhem, Where Dead Angels Lie. But when it was fresh, I absolutely love this. I used to listen to it in the car to and from uni, like going there and going home, and also in the mornings. I was obsessed with this album for a long time and still listen to it a lot. So that's Nordic Metal, a tribute to Euronymous, released by Necropolis Records. Okay, 3 more to go. How are we going for time? Not too badly. Okay, this next one, this is Rock Hard, which is, as you can imagine, is a hard rock heavy metal compilation. This was given to me by my mum, actually. She bought it, and I can't remember why she gave it away, but I actually enjoy this. This is just a good party compilation. So imagine you have, yeah, a house party, something like that, and maybe even friends who don't like metal. I think a lot of them would enjoy this album because they're sort of the cliched greatest hits of some of these bands, so it sort of eases people into this heavy metal music. But yeah, they have some interesting choices of bands, but I just throw this on. I own a lot of music by these bands, or the albums, but I just sometimes throw this on as a, you know, party compilation or greatest hits compilation. So let's just check out some of the bands they have, like Black Sabbath, Motorhead, Judas Priest, Deep Purple, Megadeth, Living Colour, Slade, Warrant, Poison, The Choir Boys, great underrated Australian rock band. The Mark of Cain, another Australian band, really good. Who else do we have? Argent. Europe, Ugly Kid Joe. Rob Zombie, Puddle of Mud. That's interesting. They have that song She Hates Me by Puddle of Mud. I have a guilty pleasure admittance. I used to hate that song when I heard it on the radio, but then it's actually grown on me compared to a lot of other pop crap which comes on the radio. But Puddle of Mud, at least that song She Hates Me, it reminds me a bit of Nirvana. And what else do we have? Extreme, Anthrax, Alice Cooper, and Quiet Riot. So yeah, just a good hard rock heavy metal compilation, and a lot of the songs featured are those cliched typical ones like Paranoid by Black Sabbath, Breaking the Law by Judas Priest, but all the fun songs that everyone knows. So yeah, there's the back there. So just showing the cover here, the woman in the PVC or Lycra uniform outfit with the whip. Song titles. And there's the disc. So yeah, not really an essential one to own, but again, just a good one to whack on at a house party, even for people who don't like metal, so that's rock hard. Okay, 2 more to go. The next one, this is Slatanic Slaughter. So obviously this is a tribute to Slayer, a double disc album. And again, this is extreme metal bands, like a lot of death metal and black metal bands mostly, paying tribute to Slayer by performing covers. Now, I love cover albums, generally speaking. There was one, yeah, speaking of compilations, I want to get the Bathory tribute, but I don't have that, nor the Mayhem one, but I'd like to have that. But this Slayer one is really good. So you have cover tracks, very diverse from all these different bands, by Dissection, Hypocrisy, Merciless, At the Gates, Invocator, Enslaved, Edge of Sanity, Seance, Cemetery, Crown of Thorns, Grope, Necrophobic, Luciferian, Cradle of Filth, Sinister, Benediction, Liars in Wait, Coffin, Malevolent Creation, Vader, Anathema, Unanimated, and Disaffected. So yeah, no repeats on this. It's just like each band, so how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 24 different covers of Slayer. So yeah, I'm not the, speaking of which, like I know this might sound blasphemy, I'm not the world's #1 Slayer fan, but obviously they're a very important and influential band, and I really do like them a lot, particularly certain albums I do, and this is just a fun compilation because it's got all the greatest hits being covered. So just show you the disc here. It's a double disc once again. Yeah. And this one's fallen out, but yeah, you get the picture. And I think, do they do a bio in here? They might do, actually. Yep, the old plastic head mail order form, old school. Yeah, and again they have so yeah, there's the cover, and then a little bio on each band and what song they cover. Yeah, so just a really fun compilation with all the greatest hits song by Slayer. I like most of the tracks. There are just some bands which, in my opinion, sound a bit boring, like the band that covers Altar of Sacrifice. They make it sound exactly like the original with Tom Araya's vocals, and I think, oh, you know, do some variation in the cover, it's better. But some of my favorite covers on this would be Dissection's cover of Antichrist, Hypocrisy's cover of Black Magic. I also like Enslaved covering Jesus Saves. I never imagined Enslaved doing a Slayer song, but that one's really good. I like that. Also, needless to say, the Cradle of Filth cover of Hell Awaits. That's interesting because Cradle of Filth is very symphonic and gothic and vampiric, so it's an interesting interpretation, definitely. So yeah, I prefer those more creative covers than the sort of generic ones, like Invocator's cover of Altar of Sacrifice. It's not bad, but it's just like Altar of Sacrifice Part 2. But yeah, great compilation, essential if you're a Slayer fan, and even if you're not really, if you're just a fan of some of these extreme metal bands, it's a fun compilation to get. So that's Slatanic Slaughter. Slatanic or Slatanic? Anyway. All right, and the last one I'm going to show today, this one is Under the Southern Cross, which is an Australian metal compilation. So yes, the Southern Cross referring to the stars on the Australian flag. There's the devil. I think this cover was illustrated by Reverend Chris Hades from Sadistic Execution, like one of Australia's most famous extreme metal bands. Yep, so double disc compilation, and once again, yeah, this is multiple Australian bands just contributing their songs to this album. So it's kind of like a who's who of the Australian metal scene in the 90s. Like yeah, I'm not the most up-to-date guy, so I'm not up-to-date with the more recent bands, but I am familiar with a lot of these bands and really like them. So it's basically a sampler to show you what the Australian metal scene had to offer at the time. Yeah, what the Australian metal scene had to offer at the time. And you've got, so like black metal, death metal, doom metal, heavy metal, power metal, some experimental psychedelic stuff. It's all on here. So the bands featured on here are Nazul, Misery, Psychor, Alchemist, Destroyer 666, Bloodduster, Volatile, Anatomy, Sith Lord, Cryogenic, Damaged, Crucible of Agony, and Earth, as well as Automation. And in addition to that, Sadistic Execution, Lord Chaos, Psychrist, Boltak, Abortus, Armored Angel, Rock, Astrial, Sulcus, Engraved, Miscreation, Eberly, Deluge, Manticore, Dungeon, and I think there was one I missed. Deadspawn. Yeah, so like how many, 30 different bands, performing songs. So like I said, there's death metal, black metal, all sorts of stuff. I really like it. Probably my favorite songs on this compilation would be Immortal by the death metal band Misery, also Cut by the band Psychor. They did their own sort of interesting spin of metal. Astral Spectrum by Alchemist, which was like an extreme metal band that mixed in psychedelic and surf rock influences, all kinds of weird stuff. I also really like the song by Anatomy, which is a black death metal band, Sith Lord, which is a thrash metal band. Yeah, of course, the Sadistic Execution, Boltak, Psychrist, and Astrial songs are great. Like, they're just some more black metal bands, even though Sadistic Execution is more like death metal. But great piece of Australian history. And I think this album is really hard to get. I don't think you can even find it on YouTube, but I would recommend it to anyone. If for some reason you happen to see this on eBay or on Discogs or whatever, and there's a copy and at a reasonable price, I would definitely recommend snapping this up because there's some really interesting music on it. And once again, they have a very well-written bio of each band and a little portrait of them. So yeah, you can learn more about the Australian metal scene, particularly in the 90s. And a lot of these bands featured on here are long-standing bands which are still going strong, and in some cases were some of the first, like Sadistic Execution. Yep, so I've listened to this so many times over the years. I bought it in '99, but I still love it. So that's Australian Metal Compilation, Under the Southern Cross. All right, and to my surprise, this video hasn't gone on for too long. Then again, it's gone on longer than most people's, but yeah, that's just my style, I suppose. But I don't think I looked into the music too much. Just mentioned some of my favorite tracks. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. And on that note, just before I finish, I'd just like to announce that, believe it or not, this is my 200th video. Today marks my 200th video. So that's 200 times I've got up and rambled on about music. No, I shouldn't speak of myself negatively, even in a joking way. But seriously, thank you very much for all of your support throughout the years. Like, I've been doing this now for, hard to believe, 5 years. Yeah, so 200 videos, and I've got a lot of support and kind feedback from people, so I really appreciate that. And I hope you keep watching. Okay, so once again, Tony, thanks very much for starting this thread. It was interesting and it was fun to do. And remember, everyone, if you're not familiar with Tony's channel, Tainted Lord 87, there's a link down in the description. So in the meantime, take care and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers, bye.